Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Life, Liberty, and Truth. Christian and Jared.
Yo, what's up, everyone?
Back in person, Jared has finished his quarantine and he is no longer COVID positive, hopefully.
Yeah, it was a weird experience. I basically had no symptoms, so asymptomatic, and yeah, I'm all good and back to normal. Good to be here.
It's good to be back. Okay, so because we ended last episode with the Trump Twitter debacle that's going on, we thought that we would dedicate this episode to that and big tech censorship. We missed out on doing it on accident. And so we're going to now devote an entire episode to it, which will probably work out better. So, Jared, would you like to start by explaining the ban at all?
Yeah, let's start. Let's just jump right into it. All right, so I mean, if you do not know that Trump has been banned from Twitter, then are you even alive at this point? Right? Like everyone literally knows that Trump and a bunch of other people have been banned from not only Twitter but Facebook and other, social media platforms. Okay? And first off, to ban the president from Twitter, from social media, his main, you know, uh branch per se to the public, um to take that away from him is, in my opinion, just it's wrong. Okay, and I know people say, well, you have a section, what is it, 230 or whatever, where these social media platforms, they have the right to censor people, right, for what they say, uh for violating certain terms and conditions, right? But to completely delete, you know, the president's account off of Twitter.
Technically, I don't think it has been 100% deleted yet. I think it is still just banned until further notice.
Well,
So,
no, they banned it like indefinitely.
yeah, we'll see. Okay,
So
so let me read this real quick, just to clarify a little bit.
yeah, sure.
Daily Wire article: Tech companies move to limit Trump's use of account until term over. This was written on January 7th, right after all the riots happened and all this stuff came up. Here we go. Uh, Twitter Twitter safety said in a statement. Uh, this means that the account of real Donald Trump will be locked for 12 hours following the removal of these tweets. If the tweets are not removed, the account will remain locked. The statement continued: future violations of the Twitter rules, including the civic integrity or violent threats policies, will result in permanent suspension of the at real Donald Trump account. So actually, you might be right because this is like
No,
a week
yeah,
old.
it's
Because
completely. I'm literally on Twitter right now. I've typed in at real Donald Trump. His account does not even show up.
okay, yeah.
So it's non-existent in
So they
Twitter.
did end up deleting it.
They've
They said that they were going to ban it, and then they ended up deleting it.
Yeah, no, they've literally deleted it indefinitely. So he has, and I think he used his government Twitter account, and then they started deleting tweets from there. Like
Yeah.
he was just, I it's it's a manhunt, bro. Like they're trying to take down this great president who's done a lot of great things for America, whether you agree with those policies that he has, or you have like a personal issue with Donald Trump or that name. Like that's just crazy. I People get so worked up over one man. They waste too much energy. But that's what happens when you live in an evil world, man. You just target people and you try to take them down. And that's a big issue, like I said before, to completely censor and take the president of the United States off of Twitter,
Yeah.
off of social media, his main branch for communicating with the people and communicating his thoughts. The reason why he does that is because, his whole motive behind that is because of fake news, is because the news will twist words that he says, and he uses Twitter to correct those words, to say, no, this is what I said, to basically protect himself.
Well, it's the closest thing that the president of the United States can get to talking almost face to face, you know, to a large audience. But the closest he can get to talking to you personally is his Twitter account, his social media. And so when you limit that, you're limiting the ability for the president to be able to speak directly to the people, not through the media, not through anybody other than a televised broadcast or something. But I even feel like a tweet is more personal per se than even like an official presidential address or whatever you want to say.
Right. I just think it gets watered down a little bit and it gets kind of distorted, right? Once
Hmm.
it runs through the media and the news and stuff like that, right? So when it comes directly from the president's, account, and this is what he's saying,
This is what's going through his
I
mind
mean,
because he controls his account.
yeah,
There's no doubt that I don't think he has anyone censoring what he says. What he thinks is what goes on his Twitter, which is kind of scary at times. But I think Donald Trump has been one of the most relatable presidents, or at least just someone that what's going through his mind, someone the president that you see most as a human or as a person, more as just the president of the United States. He's one of the most relatable as far as what he's thinking, what he's doing, like he's telling you basically what's happening, what he's doing. He's not just like this powerful person. He's actually feels, relatable, like I said.
yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, it's sad to see that at this point that these platforms, and I mean Twitter is just one of them. You have Facebook, you have I believe Instagram, Spotify, Shopify, you have a Twitch, like literally YouTube, all these platforms that you get, information from, like Trump, any word about Trump, or I don't know, anything relating to a conservative agenda is automatically censored and kicked out.
And we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about
And
that in
yeah,
a second.
we'll talk about that too. You wanna move on to the next, part there, Christian?
Yeah, I want to reference back to the article for a really real quick second. Mark Zuckerberg, he made a statement, and it's right here. The shocking events of the last 24 hours clearly demonstrate that the president Donald Trump intends to use his remaining time in office to undermine the peaceful and lawful transition of power to his elected successor, Joe Biden. Zuckerberg wrote, "The decision to use his platform to condone rather than condemn the actions of his supporters at the Capitol building has rightly disturbed people in the US and around the world. We removed these statements yesterday because we judged that their effort and likely their intent would be provoked further violence." Okay, so just kind of what this means. Both Twitter and Facebook's reason for taking Trump off of their platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, because Zuckerberg has Instagram also.
Yeah.
And so their reason is because he's inciting violence. Okay, that's the whole reason.
That's their
He's
claim.
inciting violence. That's their claim. He clearly demonstrated that the President Donald Trump intends to use his reigning time in office to undermine the peaceful and lawful transition. So peaceful and lawful. Okay. So with that said, there is another article from the Daily Wire titled "7 Twitter Accounts that have promoted violence but haven't been banned." So we're just gonna read these off. There's one right here. Jared, help me with some of the pronunciation. A lot of them are Middle Eastern, Iranian. Some of them are Chinese. So this one is Ayatollah Khamenei. That's what I'm going to go
Yes,
with.
that's 100% correct, Christian.
So, in my great ability to pronounce Arabic names, I apologize if I messed this up.
Yeah, don't be offended, please.
So, Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, has openly tweeted the desire to destroy Israel, calling it a cancerous growth that must be uprooted and destroyed. More recently, the Supreme Leader has implied that the United States could be sharing COVID-19 vaccines abroad in order to contaminate other nations. So they have a quote of the tweet right here, and it says, "In June of this year, Twitter responded to calls for Khamenei's suspension, saying his tweets fall under the category of foreign policy saber rattling on economic military issues." Um, Oh, here it goes. Following his General Soleimani said Iran will never forget this. Okay, so let me read this whole part real quick. There it is. Following the U.S. air raid that killed Iranian General Soleimani, Khamenei said that Iran will never forget this and will certainly deal a reciprocal blow to the United States.
Not
So
violent at all.
yeah, so
I see no violence there.
this is a
I
guy.
think I think that was rainbows and Lucky Charms full of love. Honestly, what do you think?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Very loving person,
he sounds
just
like a
like
great
Islam
guy.
teaches, right? So that's one person. There's another one right here. Oh, I'm so bad at these names. Zabullah Mujahid.
Great job.
I think that was actually pretty
I
close.
think that's pretty close.
Uh, you may not know his name, but you certainly know the organization he represents. What the article says. Mujahid is a spokesman for the Taliban, an organization who has been gone far beyond violent words, committing heinous acts of terror in the name of radical Islam, killing thousands of innocent people, including American troops and citizens. So, he has 147,000 followers on Twitter, and he says, he brags about this new member who joined the terrorist organization. 25 soldiers, police, and government officials, realizing the facts and efforts of recruitment officials, resigned and joined Mujahideen, this different person. So right here, he's bragging about all the amounts of people that have joined the Taliban, and this has not been banned or even fact checked, I believe. Oh man, Luis.
I think
This
that's Farrakhan. We're
Far.
gonna call him Farrakhan.
Okay, we're gonna call him Farrakhan.
Farrakhan.
Okay. Uh, Perhaps one of the most famous anti-Semite in America today still has an active Twitter account. Really? He said, okay. It's head of the notorious Nation of Islam, is what this says right here. He tweeted in 2018, I am not anti Semite, I am anti termite. Yeah, he's very
Bro, that
anti
was a great
Semitic.
burn.
Through Twitter, although Twitter removed the verified check from his account following a tweet about the satanic Jew and the synagogue of Satan, his account still remains active and public. So this guy is literally anti Semitic. He's literally a racist towards Jews, and yet his account has not been removed like Trump's has. Okay. This is an interesting one.
I
I
I
read
have a
this. I
question
thought
real
this was
quick
funny.
for you, Christian.
Okay, go for it.
So if Trump's tweet was so awful and so harmful, why aren't they playing it and revealing it? Why aren't they showing it on the news? Like this is what he said, or why, you know,
Well, I
like
mean,
why aren't they re-showing what he said? Because they're not. Like the specific tweet, they just claim that he incited violence, right? But if you go to the actual tweet, he didn't incite violence at all. He said,
well,
let's go to the Capitol and let's protest peacefully."
let me play devil's advocate right here just for
Okay,
a second.
yeah.
So, if someone said on a tweet, I'm going to blow up the White House, and it got huge attention, do you think that that's a appropriate thing to put all over the news? The
No.
tweet itself.
Yeah, no.
I would agree. The
You don't post that
you
stuff
don't
on Twitter.
post that stuff online. You don't post it on Twitter. You don't have news people. If you're the news, you shouldn't be showing that actual tweet. You shouldn't be showing the person who tweeted it because now you're giving him recognition that he wouldn't have deserved, and you're making it bigger than that's what because that's what people want. They want to be known or they want to be represented. They want like a school shooter or any kind of thing. When you post pictures of school shooters' names and their pictures of them, it's making them more famous than they need to be. And a lot of times that's part of the problem is that it brings fame in a horrible way, but it brings fame to that
It grabs
person.
attention, yeah.
So you could say that they're not putting that up for that same reason. But my argument against my claim right now is that if you're going to put up a school shooter's picture and his name and you're going to show all these videos, why can't you just show this horrible tweet that Trump put up? I would agree that you're right, is that they don't have tweet that they're claiming that they have. So that is a good point. Um, okay, this was an odd one. Did you know that the Chinese embassy in the United States has its own Twitter account?
Yeah, I actually heard about that like a few days ago. But yeah, it's
So
interesting.
at Chinese Embin US. That was very weird for me. Uh, According to the article, their account is routinely used to spread Chinese Communist Party propaganda on behalf of President Xi Jinping. I think I said that
Did
really
you see
well.
that China is actually buying land here in America.
Oh, they've been doing that for a while.
Well, but they're
Texas, they're
like it's
buying up
at
a
a
lot.
huge like increasing rate. They've bought
Mhm.
a ton in New York. I think they bought some where like Fort Hood is. Like, dude, they're the fact that we're just letting them like buy land here is
It's scary.
beyond me.
Okay, that is scary. But back to the
Yeah, I
tweet
just
real
wanted
quick.
to put a little bit of knowledge out there.
Um, According to the back to the article, this week they used Twitter to defend China's use of concentration camps in part of their ongoing genocide against the. Do you know how to pronounce that?
We're gonna say Gers.
Uyghurs.
Uyghurs.
I don't speak Chinese. But here we go. Here's the actual. Here's the quote of the tweet. The minds of the Uyghur women in Xinjiang were emancipated, and gender equality and reproductive health was promoted, making them no longer baby making machines. The account tweeted before saying the victims are more confident and independent. Feminism!
Bruh.
Wow!
Bro, it sounds like they're honestly like the nicest people on earth. Like, dude.
They finally were emancipated, and gender equality and reproductive health was finally promoted. They're no longer baby
I
making
bet they donate
machines.
the most money to like all like charities and stuff like that.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
great people.
While the tweet has since been deleted, the account has not.
Well, I know they definitely, you know, support Planned Parent Planned Parenthood. So I
China?
mean, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, here's another interesting one. Did you know that the New York City has the
Antifa account?
Antifa account? Did you know that they have a Twitter? That's odd. For all their talk
Oh,
and restrict.
the myth, Antifa. That's the myth.
Oh
They have
yeah, I
their own
thought.
Twitter
Oh
account.
my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's great.
Twitter still allows Antifa's account full access to the platform despite their "by any means necessary" slogan and their use of violent rhetoric and tactics. Their account routinely doxes individuals deemed Nazis, in other words, anyone on the right, um, sharing photos and personal information in an attempt to intimidate and coerce. That is odd. They share photos and personal information of people that they refer to as Nazis. Is that not a violation of privacy? Like, I mean, I get you're on the account, but going in and taking people's personal information and personal pictures and then sharing them all over the internet, that's kind of creepy. The page also reposts photos and videos of fascists being attacked on the street and at protests with gleeful captions. Oh, that's interesting. So the people that they deem as fascists, they
Fascist
post
air quotes, right?
it has quotes around it in the article too. They post people videos of people literally getting attacked, but that's not violent.
Well, you remember the BLM riots and how Antifa was beating up like old people that were like standing on the side of the street. Like,
Yeah.
how much of a wimp do you have to be
So
to like beat up an
you're
old
taking
person? Like, dude.
you're stealing people's personal information, posting it all over your page, your account, whatever you want to say, and then you're posting pictures of people being attacked, and that's not inciting violence. Okay. Uh, Nicolas Maduro, if I'm pronouncing that right again. Despite running his country in the ground and killing or jailing anyone who stood in his way, Nicolas Maduro, best known for the human rights abusing, socialist loving dictator of Venezuela. Oh, I did not know that was his name. Still enjoys the use of his Twitter account. So, okay. Throughout the week, we can be seen using the platform to spread propaganda in support of his murderous regime, all while still starving citizens languish in poverty. Yeah, that was a big thing. Not that long ago, was that he was literally withholding food from his people. In case you didn't know that. Though the United States has labeled Maduro one of the worst human rights abusers on earth, with his continual crimes being well documented, his Twitter account remains untouched. That's fascinating. So again, you're going to block Twitter, or you're going to block Trump from Twitter, but you're not going to block someone who is literally named one of the worst human rights abusers on earth by the United Nations. Okay, that's odd. And then I think everyone knows this one, Kathy Griffin.
No, it's not odd. It's stupid.
It
That's
is
what it
stupid.
is.
Um, I think everyone heard about this not that long ago. Was this in 2016 that okay, I'll read it real quick so everybody knows what we're talking about. Kathy Griffin. I think we know this one. Kathy Griffin, the comedian turned wannabe political analyst, is now perhaps best known for her.
Activist.
Oh yeah,
Activist,
my
yeah.
bad. Activist. Sorry, I read it too fast. Is now perhaps best known for a photo she posted holding a bloody replica of Donald Trump's decapitated head.
Oh yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
that.
we all remember that.
Um,
I bet you could still find that on Twitter somewhere, right? You could
Griffin
probably find
initially
that.
apologized for the gruesome photo shoot, but eventually doubled down, reposting the image on election night in November. While Twitter flagged the tweets as containing potentially sensitive content, they still allowed it to stay and have taken no further action against Griffin's account. I'm just looking at Jared here in awe because this is that.
So you're holding a decapitated head that is supposed to be of Donald Trump,
No, yeah,
right?
it's obviously his head if you've seen the pictures.
And well, yeah, but that's not inciting violence. That is so much worse. That's literally not inciting violence. That's inciting straight up murder,
Well,
like assassination. That is
the
complete.
hypocrisy is insane.
It's
It's
completely
insane.
evil.
And so, um, it's insane. I mean, here's
People have
7
no boundaries,
accounts
man.
of literally terrorists. The leader of the spokesman for the Taliban is allowed on Twitter, but Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, the most powerful person in the entire world, is not allowed on Twitter. You know how dangerous that is? And we're going to get into exactly what starts to come with this. Um, it's really bad. Okay, moving on. So that was kind of focused on Trump and the violence aspect of why they're banning people. Let's move on to the mass banning of individuals right now. So, in case you didn't know, we have another article from the Daily Wire where we get
That's our
most of
favorite
our.
source,
In
everyone.
case you didn't know, Daily Wire, best news source in our opinion. Um, their article: Twitter purges tens of thousands of accounts for sharing QAnon content. Tens of thousands of accounts. So, for anyone who's thinking that, oh, they're never gonna ban normal people, they just ban like high up people, then they're never gonna come for me.
And bad people.
They just ban bad people. They just ban people that they deserve to get banned, right? They don't ban just normal people. Wrong. The company led by CEO Jack Dorsey announced in a statement on Tuesday that it had purged the platform for more than 70,000 accounts since last week. Now, this was written on January 12th. 70,000 accounts in a week. Last week, claiming that the accounts were sharing content that could lead to offline
When
harm.
was this article?
January 12th.
Oh, dang. So that's very, very,
Yesterday.
very
Just
recent.
came out
Yeah.
yesterday. So, that is what you're dealing with. If you think that that they're not going to be coming for you as an individual, they're not coming from individual rights, this is definitely proof that they're coming after everyone.
Yeah.
70,000
If you don't
accounts.
agree with the narrative, or I mean, if let's just straight up say, if you support Donald Trump, you're a target. Okay, that's just how it is. If you support Donald Trump or you're a conservative, you're the number one. You know, you got a bounty on your head, basically. Like
Mm-hmm.
as far as social media goes.
And it kind of reminds me of a certain time about 70 years ago in a country that shall not be named yet until we get to this part. But it reminds me of a country that rounded up a certain people group, and another certain people group thought, "Oh, they'll never come for me. I'm I'm white. I'm German. They'll never come for me." And then they came for him. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit more. But
It's Germany, guys. Okay,
it's Nazi
we're
Germany.
talking about
It's
Germany.
Nazi Germany, in case you didn't realize that. But anyway, we'll keep going. Blah, blah, blah. Ron Paul was also censored recently. So they're coming after the president. They're coming after conservatives and the people. They're coming after politicians. They're coming after anyone who speaks out against them. right? So this is how bad Twitter has gotten, right? Twitter has gotten so bad that France, Germany, Mexico, three among many countries, it's so bad that they've condemned Twitter for limiting freedom of speech. That's crazy.
Yeah, the very countries that Trump has literally slammed, like, constantly over
Well,
the last 4
France
years of his
France and Germany are
presidency.
very liberal countries too.
Right, and so,
Socially
yeah,
liberal.
Trump has literally just been hammering them like, "Y'all are wilding over
And
there."
we yeah, we all know Germany and France. I mean, everyone knows the reputation of France. But
Yeah.
I don't want to say that right now. But it's so bad that you have other countries, you have multiple celebrities now even coming out, and that's odd because mostly celebrities are always come in defense of social media or Twitter, but you're having multiple people, multiple countries coming out and getting to a point where it's so bad. These people are coming out and speaking out, and being like, okay, this is kind of far, right? That's how bad it's gotten. And now I want to go back to what we were talking about with Germany. There's a famous quote, and I will find it in a second because it was in the Holocaust Memorial in Washington, D.C. When I saw it, I was like, that's crazy. And I'm going to find it in a second when Jared starts talking. But it basically talks about how it goes something like they went for the Christians and I said nothing. They went for the Jews and I said nothing. And then they came for me and there was no one left to say anything. Um, that's the idea behind the quote. And that's where we're at right now. Because if you're thinking, oh, they're just going for the dirty politicians, oh, they're just going for the conservatives. Well, this is when you have to stand up because you have to stand up for everyone or you stand up for no one. Because the one day they're going to come for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the, like, issue that we're kinda getting behind is it's not just about that we're worried that Donald Trump is censored, like, yeah, it's a big deal, but, it does it necessarily hurt me? No, but if they're willing to do that to the president, and then now they're going to, censor and get rid of other, politicians' accounts, and then now they're getting rid of just people people on Twitter, they're trying to get rid of their accounts that are just normal, citizens of the United States. Like, they're willing to go, you know, to full links to make sure that everything is censored. And that's a big problem because then you run into like what we're kind of getting at is big tech censorship is now you have complete control over the people and what they're thinking and what they say. So when you control what people think, when you control what people say, um, that's that's complete tyranny in all
I have I,
all honesty
I have the
there.
quote right here when you're
Okay.
ready.
Yeah, go for it.
So the quote goes like this: First, they came for the communists, but I was not a communist, so I said nothing. Then they came for the social democrats, but I was not a social democrat, so I did nothing. Then came the trade unionists, but I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, but I was not a Jew, so I did little. Then they came for me. There was no one left to stand up for me. That was said by Martin. Uh, is this German? Niemöller. I think it's Niemöller. Um,
Yeah,
so
that seems about right.
basically, the idea of the quote is that they come for certain people. We kind of explained it, but they come for people, and they come for people that are not you. And you think, oh well, it's not me, so why do I have to worry about it? It's not me. It's never going to be me, right? My beliefs. I support the state. I support what they're doing. I support this. I support that, right? And then next thing you know, there's no one left when they come for you. And that's the idea. That's why you have to stand up now, even though you might not agree with what the communists are saying. First, they came for the communists, but I was not a communist, so I said nothing. I'm not a communist, but guess what they do? They go for the communists first. And then what? Oh, then they're going for the social democrats, and then the unionists, and then the Jews, and then me. That's the problem you're getting into. You have to defend everyone, or there'll be no one left to defend you.
Yeah, you have to stand up for people's rights. And here's the thing, we're all people, okay? And we've expressed our um Christian views here before, right? We're all made in the image of God, right? So our political alliance has no uh what delusion, right, of how we see people, right? We may say like, okay, they're like really dumb people, but that's just like that's human nature to be like, okay, those people are crazy and they're, you know, not there in the head, right? But we should all view people as, equal, made in the image of God. And let's put political alliances aside and think for just the society as a whole. Let's protect, citizens of the United States, whether you agree with what they believe in or not. We're here to protect the citizens of the United States. That's our job. We need to stand up for the people because guess what? These politicians are not standing up for you. And so what happens when they don't stand up for you? You will get nothing. And you have to stand up and fight. And you have to make a voice and be like, you know what? I'm for the people. I want what's best for the people. I don't care what you politicians have to say. Okay? What you're doing is wrong. And I'm not going to, spout off a ton of names, but there's a lot of politicians that are not doing their job, that are not
especially
doing what they
conservatives.
should be doing, especially Republican
Conservatives are the worst
politicians.
because it's easy to go along with people that you agree with or you identify with, but then now you're getting to the point now where things are getting a little scary. They're heating up. They're getting more tense, and this is the time where it's the most important to stand up for what you believe in. And we see all of these elected leaders that we we elect the leaders to stand up and to vote and to protect our rights and our individual freedoms. That's what we vote for, and they're failing miserably.
They're
And
they're failing incredibly.
they're
They're
being
not doing
they're
what they
being
should be doing.
silent and they're being traitors when we need them the most. And that is far worse than anything else that the left is doing. They're destroying it. But what's worse, what what does Obi-Wan Kenobi say? Um,
He says a lot of things.
it's who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows the fool? Obi-Wan Kenobi, words of wisdom right
Hey,
there.
best Jedi right there.
And so that's what we're kind of working with right now is who's dumber. I mean, these people are just going along with it. They have no problem. They let people destroy the country, and those people are worse than the people who are actually destroying the country.
Yeah, it's like, are you actually gonna follow people walking off a cliff
Yeah.
because of their political views? If they say, "You know what? I'm gonna walk off a cliff today," and if you don't, then you're a Nazi, right? Like, that's literally I mean, I it's not to
Except
that
for they're pulling
extent, but
everybody down with
but you
you.
know what I mean? It's like
I would even
it putting
change.
that pressure on other people to be like, "Oh, if I don't follow them, I'm a Nazi.
I would
Like, I'm a
change
white
the analogy
supremacist."
a little bit. It's not one person walking himself off the cliff. It's a couple people walking everybody off the
Oh, yeah,
cliff.
pushing them
And
off the cliff,
instead of
right?
instead of you trying to struggle and pull yourself and pull other people out, you just stand up and start walking and pulling with them. Or just not struggling, which is just as bad. So, I mean, what do you want to go with? I think there are a couple very important we talked about Nazi Germany, but there's examples in history. Nazi Germany is probably the most prominent because if you don't agree with them, you get sent to a concentration camp. That's what happens when you limit freedom of speech. When people can't speak their ideas, for one, people get dumber because that's the best way to communicate ideas is when you can say anything and if you sound dumb enough when you can say anything, people will not listen to you and you'll get discredited, right? That's the whole point of freedom of speech. So all the best ideas come up, the worst ideas go down, and the people with the worst ideas are just idiots and everyone knows it. But the best ideas come up. When you're limiting the good ideas and the bad ideas, and only the ideas that you want to come up, then you're gonna have a problem. Like this quote said, they limited people, and then there was no one left to help you, right? So Nazi Germany was a very obvious one. Communist Russia. How many people did Stalin kill? In the 20 millions or 40 millions?
Dude, it was more than that.
Was it in the 80s?
It was
It
like 60 or 80
I think
million, dude.
communism
It's like
worldwide.
60 or 80 million.
What is it? Communism worldwide. Communism has been around for a little over 100 years. Has killed 200 million people.
I'm not 100% sure about that statement, but
I know it was in the
it's
hundreds
killed
of
a lot of
millions.
people.
It was
It's
for sure in the hundreds of millions.
it
So,
has not done people any good.
and what is a big thing of communism? Conformity, unity, and people basically it's control. It's not actual conformity. It's not actual unity. It's
Brainwashing.
it's conformity to what one person wants you to believe in. It's conformity to whatever's best for everyone else, right? And so when you get into that, it might sound good. You might sound like, oh, well, everyone has a purpose, but it takes away the individual. It takes away your freedom to say what you want when you take away your freedom and they come for you. Like the quote says again, there's no one left. China. China's also a great example of why you don't limit freedom of speech. People in China, people in the USSR back in the day and Nazi Germany, they'd go missing when they said something against the person they don't like. Is that the kind of world you want to live
And
in?
no, they didn't get lost in the forest. Okay. They
In case you didn't know, China actually has concentration camps in China. They eradicate the people. What was the people group that we named earlier? The I forget how to pronounce their name. They go they put them in the concentration camps. Muslims, they do not like Muslims. If you're a Muslim in China, you get sent to a concentration camp. That's 100% accurate. You can look it up. Concentration camps in China. They are not very well known, but they are 100% there. And so, would you rather live in a country where people can say the stupidest, most idiotic thing, and you're like, you're an idiot, and everybody agrees that you're an idiot? Or would you rather, but in that country where everyone can say stupid stuff, they can also say stuff and they can condemn people, they can go and they can speak out against people, they can express their own ideas. There's lots of benefits to freedom of speech, but people only think to look at the negative part because they think, oh well, it incites violence like Trump does. Like, oh, it causes riots.
yeah, and it always gets me that when I talk to people about politics, I love talking about politics. So people think I'm crazy because I talk too much about it, but it's just because I have a passion about it and I like learning these kinds of things and I like expressing my opinion, right? But it always basically these people that don't like to get into politics, I think it's funny, okay? Because what we're living in right now, people say, "Oh, I don't really wanna buy that because I just it's just too much for me. I don't wanna be, you know, down there and know all this stuff. I'd rather just not be filled with all that
I
information."
don't want to be depressed or
Okay,
angry
hold
or
on.
yeah,
This has nothing to do with politics now. This has to do with your well-being. This has something to do with
your everyday life,
your
your
because if
freedoms.
you don't get out of that wave of I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, you should care because you need to know the truth and you need to learn to think for yourself because if you don't start learning how to think for yourself now, you will never be able to do that. Because I mean, it's time to take the red pill, people. Let's be honest. It's time.
Yeah.
You need to see the truth and not be scared to see the truth. That's why people are so scared about politics because they don't like the truth.
Hmm.
They want to hide from it. Don't hide from the truth, even if it scares you. Okay? Seriously, learn how to learn and speak for yourself.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to run out
Amen.
of time soon. Amen. Amen. Okay, but we're getting ready to run out of time. So the thing that we kind of want to wrap it up. In case you think that big tech and these people that are censoring actually have your best interest in mind, last article of the day, um, Daily Wire again. Google, Microsoft, Comcast among Biden inauguration donors. Um, so it says the committee pushed a list of all donors who gave more than $200 to the 59th presidential inaugural activities, and among them are some names familiar to those concerned about potential censorship of ideas online. through social media platforms are not. Yeah, those social media platforms are not as of yet among the contributors. So, um, again, these same people that are trying to censor you, Google, Microsoft, and Qualcomm, um, internet service provides Verizon and Comcast, aerospace giant Boeing, labor union, IBEW, health insurance company Anthem. So there are several companies that are funding Biden, and if you think that they actually have the best interest for you, and I mean, I don't know what to say other than I think you're sorely mistaken because um, these people are directly funding, or these companies, these groups are directly funding people that support their ideas. And so, I mean, I think that's just kind of where it ended at is just talking about that that kind of stuff is just social media companies haven't been able to donate yet, I don't think. Even though this says the vice president at Twitter donated $2,000 of senior director programs, middle managers, and low level executives are also listed as donors to the Biden presidential campaign. So these companies are donating to the people that are going to allow them to keep doing what they're doing with censorship right now. And it's dangerous, like we've been saying. And so if you think that it's in for your best interest, I would take another look at it, do some more research into it, because it's scary. The whole Parler incident that happened over the weekend. I've been trying to get the podcast onto Parler for the last 3 or 4 days, and unfortunately, I have all Apple equipment: my laptop, my iPad, iPhone, and so I've been having a lot of trouble trying to get us on there because, as you know, Apple, Google, there's Amazon, several other things took Parler either off of the App Store and off of all their content.
I think I saw what you can do is you can actually go, like, to the Parler, like, page online,
Well,
right? And you can, like,
that's what I
go
did.
to the options and make the app there.
Well, so okay, so
Instead of going through, like, the Play Store or the
I
Apple Store or
downloaded the
whatever.
app on Friday, and I think they took it off on Saturday, right? So I downloaded either Friday or Thursday or something. But so I got on the app, and I've tried making an account. I tried making an account on the app. I put in all my information, and it said unavailable. So I was like, okay, what the heck? So I went on Safari, and I put in an internet search, searched Parlor, got on there, I put in all my information, account unavailable. I got onto my desktop at home, my family desktop, which is a Dell, and same thing, because I'm just trying to make an account. I already have the app. I just need to make an actual account. Search Parlor, page unavailable. It says something about this page's URL is changed or it has been deleted. Except for when you search anything else, it goes straight to whatever you want, right? If you go to Netflix, you click on Netflix, put you on Netflix. So I know it wasn't a problem with my internet or my connection or anything, but straight to unavailable. So there, it's a giant trust. I mean, if you think about it, it's a monopoly because they're now using big tech to censor any other competitors in the same field, and that's not the free market, right? That's not that's not competition. That's not getting your best thing. If I want to be on Parlor, why should I be limited to by these companies? And that's also another big problem that's kind of um, haunting us right now, for if you want to say it like that. But I think we hit all the points I wanted to. Jared, is there anything that else you wanted to hit on?
Yeah, I'm literally looking up parlor.com right now. And it says this site cannot be reached. I just went on Google.
Yep, you can't get it on
Yeah,
Google.
like you can
Yep,
see it right
that's what
there.
it said. That's what it told
So
me.
that's just that's scary to me that I mean, geez, they're taking off websites that are conservative, that are for
It's
free
not even
speech.
conservative. It's just a free speech
Yeah,
platform.
this is literally a violation of your First Amendment rights.
Hmm.
This is a violation of the Constitution. So I don't care what your political background is. I don't care. As long as you view the Constitution correctly, right? You interpret it the way that it's supposed to be interpreted. I have no, like, prejudice against, certain people's, like, political beliefs. I mean, I think some views are wrong, obviously, right?
But it
But
doesn't mean that we
that
don't
doesn't
support
mean that I don't support those people, right?
or the ability to have that wrong view.
Exactly. I'm not saying that they should be censored, but this is a huge thing, and it's time to look for that truth. It's time to start learning. And yeah, there's a bunch of different places. Whether there's DuckDuckGo, right? That's kind of like a better
DuckDuckGo, yeah. If you use Google as your main, what is Google technically? A web
web
browser?
browser. Yeah,
I would switch to DuckDuckGo. They don't take your internet. They give you unbiased articles.
they
So
don't track your
if you
your
if
searches and things
you
like that,
yeah
or
if
let
you
other what is it, third party,
yeah they
like
don't sell your
things.
information to third party. That's what I use. But the nice thing about DuckDuckGo is it's unbiased. So if you were to search Google and you were to search, give me a controversial topic, just something,
Capitol Hill riots,
Capitol Hill riots, you're going to get articles on Google from
Trump supporters,
CNN. You're going
bad
to
Trump
get
supporters,
articles from MSNBC. You're going to get like mainstream media articles, right? If you go onto DuckDuckGo, it's not it's not just CNN articles. It's all kinds of different stuff. And sometimes you don't even get CNN on there or any kind of main news source, which is nice because it gives you a wider variety. It doesn't filter what they want you to see.
yeah,
So
it's a better
that's why I use
perspective
it.
for sure.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely use DuckDuckGo.
they don't
For
track you.
I mean, if you're trying to literally learn the truth and just be more educated, you don't have to know everything. I don't know everything. I don't want to know
I
everything,
don't
but I
pretend
want to
like we know
know.
everything.
But I want to know as much as I can to where I know that I can make uh conscious like decisions without being misled, right? So if someone tells me that I need to do this, well, no, I don't support that because I'm reading this and that's not right.
Yeah, that's why when we're reading these articles, we're trying not, even though we're on Daily Wire, which is technically considered right wing or conservative, I try and read the quotes of what the person says. So I try and read what the tweet said. I try and read what Mark Zuckerberg said. I don't try and just read what the article says, even though I feel like they do a good job of
It's a very reliable source. It's definitely one of the most reliable sources that you could get
yeah, I
information
don't
from.
feel like they're trying to, BS me or anything. I feel like, I mean, I don't think people who like CNN feel like CNN's BSing them either. So, you know, do your research. But I try and go off of the most unbiased part of the article I can find, just because that's how you're going to get the most credibility in what you do. And we don't want to be known for these right wing extremists or these right wing guys that just try and give right wing propaganda or whatever. We're trying to just give you facts. We're trying to give you what we know and then our opinion on it, right? And so, Jared, anything else to end on?
Yeah, I think I said literally everything I want to say. I'm like, I can't think of anything,
Well, that's
and
great.
I'm like pumped up right now.
That's
I'm ready to go like punch a wall or
very good.
something like that.
So if you guys are trying to find any more information on this, go to PragerU. They have an app. You can sign up for their Prager Force if you're a student. I highly recommend watching their videos on this because they have excellent videos on tech censorship, and they're kind of doing a whole thing right now. I've noticed that big like conservative platforms such as whether it's Turning Point USA or PragerU, they kind of go through like these weekly themes of kind of what they post. Right now, their content is really heavy on big tech and censorship right now. So go check them out. Go download the app. Go on the website because they have great stuff to help you further understand this and a whole lot of other controversial topics that we talk about. But to wrap it all up, thank you guys for listening. We're really glad that you guys got to listen again. Our last episode from last week is doing very well, so we're really grateful for that. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We deleted our Twitter account, so you can still follow us on Instagram. Like I said, we're trying to set up a Parlor account. We will get that eventually. We're gonna have, I don't know how at this point. We just need to find a browser that will allow us to search and to
To
make an
access that,
account,
right?
because
Yeah.
I already have the app on my phone, and so I need to access a way to actually make an account. So, no more Twitter, Instagram, and soon to be Parler. We'll post on Instagram when we get that Parler account. But thank you guys for listening. We're gonna post. This will be on YouTube. This will be wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you want.
Share it, please share it. Because I mean, if we're just speaking to the same people, but you're not sharing it, like, is are people actually getting the truth? Like that's what we're all about. This is the whole point of this podcast, is to literally speak truth.
That's why it's
You know,
life,
life,
liberty, and
liberty, and
truth.
truth. Because that's what we support and that's what we want. Is we want to speak the truth. We may not be right every single time, but we will give you the legitimate, information that you need that is correct, right? And if it's not, then like we will be sure to come back and say we were wrong and take, credibility for that.
Mhm.
But yeah, just start sharing this stuff, share it out and do what you need to do.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for listening.